Ed Bly and Rising Tide Spirits are back again with a new release of Old Stubborn Bourbon. And this release of Old Stubborn is a premium hand marriage of 10, 11, and 12-year cask strength, barely filtered pot still bourbon. It comes in at a staggering 123.8 proof, and the flavoring grain for this one, which the last one was wheated, but this time it's now rye. Rich, sweet, and bold with a long finish that's sure to be another eye-opener. You can order online at Sealbox or thebourbonconcierge.com, and you can even purchase in person at Revival Vintage Spirits, and even now with very few select stores in Kentucky. You can get it now while you can, but be sure to do it because it's not going to last long. Welcome everybody to this Whiskey Quickie, and today we're taking a look at something from Log Still Distillery, which is something very, very new on a part of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail out of Bardstown and Gethsemane, Kentucky, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But a little bit about the history on this one, from what I could gather, is that Dance are known for their 100 proof bottled and bond bourbon, and so they wanted to start off with their traditional Dant family 100 proof product. Now, the name Monk's Road, we were talking a little bit before we started recording here, and Ryan has a little bit more of a history to it because I had no idea that there were actually a bunch of monks that were living in Kentucky.
Yeah, so in New Hope, Kentucky, there's I don't know what you call it. It's called Gethsemane, but a monk, what do you call a place where monks live?
You know, it's funny. We went to
sanctuary. I don't know.
Well, we actually went to a restaurant in Cincinnati this past weekend, and it was all about Belgian beers, and of course there's monasteries, right? So that's where the name was, but I kept calling them monkeries. So yeah, I was using the word monkery, but they're monasteries.
Anyways, there's a famous monastery there, Gethsemane. Thomas Merton was a really famous monk that was there, wrote a lot of great books, a lot of history there. I've been there as a kid. We packed up bourbon balls for Christmas gifts to do charity work. But
the monastery?
But yeah, at the monastery.
How about it?
But yeah, Wally Dan's trying to revive New Hope. It's a nice rural town that's in southern part of Nelson County, and so he's putting a lot of money into the community and trying to revive that area.
I know Wally Dan has done a lot because I've seen what they're doing. They have a huge amphitheater where they have a lot of big bands coming in, a lot of huge names and stuff like that, almost like every Friday and every other Saturday or something like that. So really kind of cool that they're building up the portfolio around that area too.
Yeah, it's awesome. My family's from Howardstown, which is like 10 minutes south of it, and it's pretty cool to see something that close that is attracting people and getting people to the area, because it's a beautiful area, a lot of nice rolling knobs and hills. It's quintessential central Kentucky. And
we've talked about before about how you were from Bardstown and nobody gave a crap about bourbon growing up, but now everybody wants to be all about it.
Heck yeah.
So here's some other details about this one. Of course, it is a Kentucky 6-year bourbon. It is 125 entry proof, but 100 proof in the bottle. The mash bill is 75% corn, 21% rye, and 4% malted barley. And this is Series 01, barrel number 23, and has a price tag of $80.
All right. Well, let's see.
Let's dive in. I think that's probably the most history we've done on a bottle before we started.
I know. So much for Whiskey Quickie.
All right, so on the nose here.
Huh. Let's get like a banana nut bread kind of smell.
I like the nut breads there, and the banana bread too. And I'm trying to figure out what that is. I mean, there's just like a definitely like a, I mean, I want to say it's not grain forward, but there is like a grainy texture or just like a corn texture to it.
Yeah, there's some like ripe bananas, kind of more like a ripe banana for me, ripe banana, and then that nut bread, sugary nut bread kind of.
I agree.
Flavor. So
I agree with the sugary nut bread. So on to the taste here. Oh, there's a good sweetness there.
Oh yeah, I mean you could fool me if you just melted some brown sugar and made a simple syrup and that's what I drink. It tastes like a brown sugar simple syrup right off the bat.
I thought the taste is way different than nose. Like, they really surprised me. This is fantastic.
Yeah, I just can't get, the brown sugar is the prominent note for me. And then that's really, it's just a real nice, sweet, sugary bourbon.
Totally agree. Like I said, the nose and the taste were completely different for me. Like I got some of that banana bread, but then when you taste it, it was like this fruit explosion, completely different. So,
yep.
And then even at 100 proof, I thought it didn't sit flat. I mean, it still had a lot of complexity still building up on it. So,
yep.
Let's go ahead and rate it. So on the nose, where are you at here?
Sideways. There was, that green banana note, nut bread. I'd like the nut bread, but like you talked about that you might thought were green banana, that it just kind of was, it was okay for me.
Somewhere in the middle of the road there.
Yep.
All right, and the taste.
Thumbs up. I really liked it. I love brown sugar. I love sweet bourbons. This one hits that for me.
Totally agree. And on the finish.
Thumbs up. I really like it. There's a nice spiciness to it. There's that sweet sugary note still going on. Yeah, it's perfectly balanced.
And it kind of hits the lower threshold of what we like in a finish is about 100 proof.
Yep.
And I think it delivers at that proof as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things still sitting on my palate where I can just let it mingle and marinate and not have to go back so quickly to see what's going on.
For sure.
Yep.
All right, well, that's our review of Monk's Road coming from Log Still Distillery. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time.